What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
And today on The Great Debaters, time to take it to a little Fear of a Black Planet. Get ready, y'all. Alright, Amir, today on The Great Debaters, we are talking about Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet, their third album, and a phenomenal piece of work. It came out in 1990, and it just showed that Public Enemy was at the top of its game, coming off one of, if not the best albums in rap history with 1988's It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, and to come back with this, my goodness gracious. So this album, I think, is one of rap's, even though it went platinum and is hugely popular, I also think of the classic albums of this era, it definitely does not get much discussion or enough discussion as commensurate to its quality. So that's why we're talking about it today on The Great Debaters. So Amir, for you, what are your initial thoughts, memories of first hearing this project?
There's a lot going on, man. That's my initial thoughts. There's so much from Chuck, Flav, Terminator, Bomb Squad. Just a lot is going on this album. And it's very noisy, it's very sample heavy, and it all really works. Like,
as always,
all the ingredients that they throw in this pot make for a very fine dining experience, to be quite frank. It's a long album too. I mean, a lot of tracks are on this one, so really to choose three, it's a task. There's most of these videos typically we're always complaining, like, how we need to choose more songs, right? But really, there's just so much on this album. There's so many different sounds that you have to like at least a handful, even if you're not a hip-hop fan, you know what I mean? But anyways, one of my tracks, and I'm assuming this should be a lot of people one of their favorites because it's a great single, and that would be Welcome to the Terrordome. And wow, dude, just the samples used on this, and there's quite a few. It's just brilliant. Just the production alone is fantastic on this album, but this song in particular, it's really stellar. And then Chuck D, the way he starts it off, just the song, and how he goes 4 verses, and it's just really powerful what he's saying. There's really, on this album, there's tons of quotables, really, and especially in 2020 and the surrounding events and everything going on. An album like this, and a lot of Public Enemy's material is very relevant, and it's like, wow, they're prophets, for what they've been saying, and not much has changed, evidently. However, some of the things he says on this song are just so powerful, where some of my favorite lines where he says, not every brother's a brother because sometimes the color could be undercover, things like that. I may be butchering the line a little bit, but you get the point. It's just, to me, that's very powerful. And then he even says that same line, but he says even a brother killed Malcolm X, and it wasn't, a pig. I just think that Chuck D is really, if you can get past just the incredible production that's going on, because it's really powerful, and you get to Chuck D's just incredible voice and lyrics and everything he's saying, dude, this song is phenomenal.
I agree. It's also one of my picks, and this was one of those singles that came out way in advance of the album. So it really whet my appetite, because sonically, as phenomenal as it is, it's very different from It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. And then hearing it and just listening to this beat, it's very hypnotizing. And then it just set the stage perfectly for what Fear of a Black Planet encapsulated, which was that political look at America, at society, at black community, and the impact of what was going on in the streets culturally, societal, and structurally, of course, in our system of American living that we have. And as Amir said, Chuck D just did it brilliantly, as he usually does. And I just thought that the beats and the scratching and the changing and the voices just made it such a powerful adrenaline rush, and it was just astonishing. And with the 4 verses, I remember, this is in 1990, we were getting toward having shorter songs because things were getting more on the radio and people were starting to drift into trying to have quote unquote more typical song structure than we had in the mid to early 80s, where songs would be 5-6 minutes like nothing. This song was one of those ones where the 4th verse came and I was like, whoa, there's even more. So I was very excited about that. And it's one of the best Public Enemy songs in my opinion. It's just astonishing. And the scratching, anytime we can scratch and it sounds good and it works well with the song, it just means a lot to me. So, incredible. So what about number 2, Amir?
Man, dude, the scratching, I'm a little upset I didn't mention that part. Because it's amazing. But, pick number 2, I'll probably go with Anti-Brother Machine. It's definitely my shortest pick in terms of length.
Right.
And on this album, there's a lot of tracks that are short, and then there's some that are longer, because there's a lot of skits and other tracks just going on. But anyways, Anti-Brother Machine, I really, really enjoy just the beat and instrumental in the first minute to minute and a half of the song. For some reason, I just really like it. And I'm not super crazy about just listening to instrumentals. I get bored after a while. I want some lyrics over it. But anyways, the instrumental here to start it off is amazing. How they bring in Chuck and Flav, amazing. Super dope. Just the samples used and the way the Bomb Squad is doing the thing is remarkable. But then Chuck D to talk about what he's talking about in regards to censorship and that matter is obviously I agree with and I like. But then to start off the second verse when he talks about the police and then you hear the sirens going on, I always love when producers will really, they're clearly not just lacing the track and that's it. No, then they hear the lyrics and they hear what's going on, and at this time they're in the studio together, obviously. So then they're thinking of other ways to make the song better. So they'll add things like that, or they'll add an extra sample, and this is just why Bomb Squad, particularly in this era, and their album before are revered as just one of the best production teams there ever was. So that's one example. And then also a little fun fact that I learned was in the song, Chuck D says he went to California for a rally. And then he has a line where he says the person who got shot, it wasn't from a blood or a cuz, it was from a pig or a police officer, or whatever he said. But apparently Chuck D had to verify with Ice Cube, because his lyric originally had said Crip or cuz, so he mixed it up because he's not familiar with, or at the time wasn't as familiar with all the gang terminology. So that's cool that Ice Cube confirmed that one and changed it to blood or cuz, so that's cool. But anyways, the song is just amazing and I love the instrumental and the message and the execution.
Yes, and even though it was such a short song, to have the video and to have Paris in it, I thought it was amazing, and I was shocked that they made, not only because of the title, but then the fact that it was so short when they did make it into a video, even though it's different, the video version than the album version. Mm-hmm. I was pleasantly surprised that they did that, and again, shout out to Paris for the video cameo. But this song, like every song on Fear of a Black Planet, is phenomenal, and Chuck's storytelling is something that he doesn't get enough credit for, as we talked about with It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, great debate that we did where we mentioned Black Steel and the Hour of Chaos. Chuck doesn't get a lot of credit for his storytelling, and this album in particular has so many great stories, and he weaves many stories into his songs and his verses, so it's so much going on in every song. So this song bleeds into my second pick, which is Burn Hollywood Burn. So speaking of Ice Cube, this song, sadly in 2020, this song came out 30 years ago and it's still in a lot of ways relevant and unfortunately makes sense and is still timely, which is very sad. But the thing about it was very unusual to hear these type of collaborations in 1990, to have a Ice Cube totally not even affiliated with Public Enemy that we knew of yet, which we'll be getting to with America's Most Wanted, but then also with Big Daddy Kane. So of course they would have toured together and been together and stuff, but to have a Juice Crew member on a Public Enemy song was like, what the heck? And then Big Daddy Kane, in my opinion, has the best verse on the song, which made it even better because I hold all three of these guys as super elite rappers, and then for Big Daddy Kane to just, in my opinion, annihilate like a political conscious social commentary song, however you want to look at it, when he excels in basically every single lane of rap, and then to shine the brightest on Burn Hollywood Burn. It's just amazing to me, and how they were able to crystallize, as Public Enemy does and as Ice Cube did both with NWA and as a solo artist, and then Kane in his own work really crystallized this frustration of the poor, horrible, abominable treatment that blacks had experienced and still do in America, and to make it into a powerful, focused song like this, it's astounding, and it resonates today, unfortunately.
That's true, and speaking of which, that is also my last pick. So Burn Hollywood Burn, which we also had a video talking about who had the best verse, which Soren says Big Daddy Kane. I also think Big Daddy Kane had the best verse. It's so incredible. But on top of that, I mean, I was just looking at the back of the cassette, and you don't see a feature list on here.
Nope.
So just imagine it being like 1990, and you're just business as usual, pick up the cassette or CD or whatever, and you put it in your car.
That's what happened to me. I had no idea.
Just like,
I was like, what?
What the hell? Because I think, was it, I don't remember if it was on this song or Anti-Brother Machine, because it's like a movie, this album, right? So in one of them they say, I think Flavor Flav says, oh, we're going to meet with Big Daddy Kane at the theaters or something like that. So you're like, what the hell?
Burn Hollywood Burn. And
then Burn Hollywood Burn, boom, and you're like, what the hell? And it's just, oh man. So anyways, to hear that collaboration must have been just incredible in 1990. And Chuck D clearly does his thing on it. Cube has the shortest verse, and it was just really dope to hear him on this, which we hear him with Chuck and Flav on America's Most Wanted, but it was also dope to hear them on this together. And then Big Daddy Kane, as Soren had mentioned, just really had just such great social commentary on this song, and then just also the outro of the song where they all want to go to a movie theater together, and then they're like, oh, no, it'll be good, don't worry. And then it was Driving Miss Daisy, and then like, oh man, this is exactly what I was talking about. I don't want to go to the movies, waste my money. And I thought that it's a brilliant song, man, and it fits so well in with the album, and just the concepts that they're able to execute on this album. They're talking about Hollywood, and they're talking about, songs like Welcome to the Terrordome and Anti-Brother Machine, and then other tracks just throughout. It's dope how they're able to weave just this thread throughout the album and still make it all connected. It's brilliant.
Yes. So my third pick is something that I normally wouldn't do, but I have to do because of the potency of the song. Because when you look at Fight the Power, to me it's not really on the album, even though it is. So I'm going to use that as my third pick. But Brother's Gonna Work It Out, 911 is a Joke, Can't Do Nothing For You, Man. There are just so many songs on this album. Hollywood a Cracker. It's just every song on here. Revolutionary Generation. Just so much on this album means so much to me and is so phenomenal. But Fight the Power is one of the best rap songs ever, and that should be hopefully obvious to everyone. So I won't, get into all the specifics as far as the song. Although I will say the beat is phenomenal. I love the saxophone solo we have. I love the fact of Chuck D, as usual, dropping a lot of historical knowledge, but then also Flavor really amping them up in the way that they do at their best, and Fight the Power, of course, is one of those examples. And this was a rare instance of an album where the songs came out before the album and they still ended up being my favorite ones on the album. But Brother's Gonna Work It Out being the first real song per se is an astonishingly brilliant and powerful way to start the album. And then Flavor Flav really shines on his 2 solo songs, but Fight the Power, it's just such a masterpiece. So that's gonna be my third pick.
So that's one where I would have swapped with Anti-Brother Machine, but I was like, because of the Do the Right Thing soundtrack, I was like, you know what, I'm sure Soren's gonna bring it up, so I didn't want to talk about it. I want to give another song some shine, but that song, I mean, just on this album, and like you said, it's one of the best songs in rap history. And a lot of people quote, most of my heroes don't appear on no stamp, and along with other gems on the song, but it's so incredible, man. It's one of those.
And it's the last song, which is even more amazing.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
So, those are Amir's 3 picks and my 3 picks. What are your guys' 3 picks for the best 3 songs on Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet? Make sure to subscribe, like, and share to both Unique Access Entertainment and Rappin' and Snackin', and of course hit us up in the comments and somebody will hit you back. I'm Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
Get ready, y'all.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.